Have you ever wondered why, in a world filled with comfort and safety, so many people still feel weak, anxious, and unfulfilled? The Vikings lived in a world of freezing seas, endless wars, and brutal winters. Yet they carried a courage that seems almost extinct in our modern lives. Picture this: a group of warriors standing on the edge of a stormy coast, their wooden ships waiting in the crashing waves. They know tomorrow's journey could be their last, and still, they step forward without hesitation. That is the kind of courage we've lost today. Before we dive deeper, let me share what this video will give you. We're not just going to talk about battles, ships, or legends. Instead, we'll uncover 3 powerful lessons from Viking life. Lessons about facing the unknown, embracing struggle, and living by a code of honor. These are not just old stories from the past. They're practical ideas you can use today to build confidence, to handle fear, and to live with a kind of courage that most people in the modern world have forgotten. And here's the best part. You don't need to pick up a sword or sail across the ocean to learn from them. You can apply these lessons in your daily challenges, whether it's standing up for yourself, chasing a dream, or simply refusing to live in fear. So let me ask you this. If the Vikings could face storms, battles, and the risk of death every single day, what's stopping us from facing the smaller storms in our own lives? Lesson 1. The courage to face the unknown. Imagine standing on the edge of a rocky shore in Norway more than 1,000 years ago. The wind is cold, the sea is violent, and the only thing between you and certain death is a wooden ship built by hand. No maps, no satellites, no weather forecasts. Just a horizon of endless water. And yet the Vikings did not stay on land. They pushed their ships into the ocean, chasing new worlds and new opportunities. They understood something we often forget. The unknown is not an enemy. It is a test. Now think about our world today. We live with comforts the Vikings could never imagine. Our homes are warm in the winter, cool in the summer. Food is a few clicks away. The storms we face are rarely physical. They are internal. The unknown for us is not the ocean, but the future. The new career path we're afraid to try. The person we want to talk to but keep avoiding, the dream we put on the shelf, because we don't know if we'll succeed. Here's the irony. Our seas are calmer, yet we hesitate more. We wait for certainty before we act, as if life will hand us guarantees. But the Vikings remind us that certainty is an illusion. The map is never fully drawn. And so, courage today means taking that first step without knowing exactly where it leads. It might mean starting the business even if you don't know how it will end. It might mean being honest about who you are, even if people don't approve. It might mean leaving behind something familiar, because your heart tells you there's something greater out there. The Vikings didn't survive because they had no fear. They survived because they accepted fear and went forward anyway. That's the first lesson they leave us. Courage is not about waiting until the fear disappears. It's about moving even when the fear is strong. So let me ask you this. What horizon are you staring at right now? And what would it look like if you had the courage to sail into it? Lesson 2. The courage to embrace struggle. Life for the Vikings was not easy. Every single day was a battle. Against hunger, against cold, against rivals who wanted to destroy them. Survival was never guaranteed. But here's what's remarkable. They didn't complain about it. They expected it. Struggle was simply part of life, and courage was the choice to face it head-on. Now compare that with modern times. We live in a society that constantly sells us comfort. Ads promise us faster food, softer beds, easier apps, and quicker results. We're told that if something feels hard, maybe it's not meant for us. And slowly, we've trained ourselves to believe that struggle is a sign that something has gone wrong. But the Vikings knew the opposite. Struggle wasn't failure. Struggle was the proof that they were alive, the forge that shaped them into warriors. Without winter, there would be no spring. Without battles, there would be no victories. Think about your own life. The moments you remember with pride are not the easy ones. They're the moments when you were tested, when you stayed up nights to finish a project, when you worked through heartbreak, when you pushed your body beyond what you thought it could handle. The struggle hurt, yes, but it also made you stronger. Here's the second Viking lesson. Stop running from the hard things. Stop expecting the path to be smooth. Struggle is the price you pay for growth. If you avoid it, you avoid becoming the person you were meant to be. Lesson 3. The courage to live by honor. The Vikings lived by a code that went beyond personal gain. Honor wasn't just a word to them, it was the foundation of their identity. They believed that how you lived mattered more than how long you lived. They would rather die with honor than live in shame. This code included loyalty to their clan, courage in the face of danger, honesty in their dealings, and hospitality, even to strangers. They understood that true strength comes not from what you can take, but from what you're willing to give and protect. In our modern world, we've often replaced honor with convenience. We break promises when something better comes along. We avoid difficult conversations. We choose what's easy over what's right. But the Vikings remind us that honor is not outdated. It's timeless. Living with honor today means keeping your word even when it costs you. It means standing up for what's right, even when you're standing alone. It means treating others with respect, not because of what they can do for you, but because it's who you choose to be. The Vikings understood that your reputation is built one choice at a time, and once lost, it's nearly impossible to rebuild. They chose to live in a way that would make their ancestors proud and their descendants grateful. So here's the final question. If you lived by the Viking code of honor, how would your life change? What would you do differently? What would you stop doing, and what kind of legacy would you leave behind? The Vikings may be gone, but their lessons remain. Face the unknown with courage. Embrace struggle as growth. Live by honor as your guide. These are not just ancient principles. They are the keys to a life worth living. When you go to the gym and your muscles ache, that pain is a sign of growth. When you learn a new skill and it feels clumsy, that awkwardness is progress. When you take risks and fail, those failures are not the end. They are the beginning of wisdom. The Vikings would laugh at the idea of a life without struggle. To them, that wouldn't even be life. And maybe we should laugh too. Laugh at the voice inside us that says, "It's too hard, don't try." Because if it's hard, it might be exactly the thing that will make us stronger. So ask yourself, what struggle have you been avoiding? And what would happen if instead of avoiding it, you leaned into it, like a Viking charging into battle? Lesson 3. The courage to stand for honor and brotherhood. Finally, there's one more lesson the Vikings give us, perhaps the most powerful of all. Courage was not only about the individual, it was about the community. The Vikings lived and died by a code. They valued loyalty, honor, and brotherhood above life itself. A man without honor was worse than a man without breath. They knew that courage is multiplied when it is shared. In our modern world, we've become more isolated than ever. Technology connects us, but loneliness is rising. People hide behind screens, afraid to truly connect, afraid to stand up for something bigger than themselves. We often say we value freedom, but we forget that freedom without responsibility is just emptiness. The Vikings understood that a life without honor is not worth living. They stood for their kin, their village, their gods, their values. And that gave them the courage to face death itself. What about us? What do we stand for? Do we even have a code anymore? Or do we just drift from one convenience to another, never anchoring ourselves in something solid? Here's the truth. You don't need to be a Viking to live with honor. You just need to decide what matters most to you. Honesty, loyalty, faith, love, service, and live by it, even when it costs you something. Especially when it costs you something. Think about the people you admire most. It's not their wealth or comfort you admire. It's their courage to stay true to their values. It's their willingness to sacrifice for others. It's the way they stand strong when everyone else bends. The Vikings remind us, courage is not just about facing fear. It's about standing for something greater than yourself. And when you do, you discover a strength that no storm, no battle, no hardship can take away. So I'll leave you with this question. What is the code you live by? And who are the people you would stand for, no matter the cost? The Vikings showed us 3 timeless truths about courage. First, face the unknown instead of waiting for certainty. Second, embrace struggle as the path to growth. And third, live by a code of honor that gives your life meaning. We don't need to sail stormy seas to learn from them. We just need to carry these lessons into our own daily battles, at work, in relationships, and within ourselves. So let me leave you with this. Where in your life is courage missing? And what would change if you chose to live with Viking courage today? If this message inspired you, tap like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. And stay tuned, because in the next video we'll explore the samurai code of discipline, another forgotten strength the modern world desperately needs.